Hello, everybody, and welcome to Max Spoilers from MinnMax. We're a Patreon about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Ross, the Star Wars Guy Fund.
Hello.
And Brian Vore.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Formerly of Game Informer, now of Brian Vore's living room.
Yeah, this is kind of the gift wrapping room for Christmas, so there's some stuff around. So if any friends and family are watching, don't look in the background.
Hey, we're unwrapping the ultimate gift today with Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 finale. This is Max Spoilers, everybody. We're going to be spoiling Season 2 of The Mandalorian, specifically the final episode. So please, 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 please do not watch this or listen to this if you have not watched the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian. Please. Also, in the meantime, you can check out our main show, the MinnMax Show podcast. We're going through our Game of the Year debates, and it's a hell of a good time, so you can check that out. Or the deepest dive on Cyberpunk 2077. There's plenty of other content for you to check out if you have not watched this, because this is a spoiler-heavy episode. Spoiler-heavy season, actually. You guys both just finished watching the finale minutes ago?
That's right.
Oh, my God.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to jump into it,
please.
Like, can you guys believe that, like, fan favorite movie character, you know, much beloved, highly requested, actually showed up at the end of the season? And I'm talking about Jabba's personal assistant, Bib Fortuna, of course.
Bib's back, baby! Well, Bib was back for a little bit, baby. And not just Bib. Fat Bib. We talking.
Yeah, big Fortuna.
Yeah, he looks like he was wearing a bib while eating a lot of food. That kind of Bib Fortuna.
Played by, like, longtime Lucasfilm sound designer guy, Matthew Wood.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was like Ben Burtt's understudy in the sound department on the prequels, and then has been doing the sound design for the recent movies almost entirely, and made his cameo on screen.
Long live.
Is this his first live action shot?
As far as I can tell, I mean, he, like, kind of famously did all the battle droid voices in, like, Clone Wars and Rebels and all the animated shows and random voices like that, but I don't think he's ever shown up on screen. That
was a frickin' delight. Like,
it really was. Was anyone else reading the credits? And I was like, Matthew Wood, Bib Fortuna. I'm like, he wasn't in this episode. What's going on here?
Very weird.
Was he one of the droids? He was just wearing the armor. It's very good. By the way, before we go any further, I should mention, if you want to unlock the podcast version of this and the podcast version of our Game Club discussions, including Cyberpunk 2077 and early access to the MinnMax Show, support us on Patreon. Please check us out if you enjoy our content. Okay, back to the main show, everybody. I'm sick of these Patreon commercials. All right, let's start with the very ending, I guess. Might as well. That Bib Fortuna sequence. Delightful, bizarre to see. I guess anybody in that role is just naturally going to eat way too much, and so put on a couple pounds. It's like freshman 15, you're sitting on that throne all day. Pulling a chain is like the most exercise you ever really get, I guess.
Yeah. I love that he's just like, I could be Jabba. It could be me now. I guess he wasn't on the sail barge, or he was blown clear, but yeah, you know, most famous in Return of the Jedi for being weak-minded, I guess. And you know, I guess he probably had a few good years there on that throne.
What did you think about, oh my God, Fennec, is that her name?
Yeah.
Her going in first. It seemed like I was waiting for the moment of like, Boba's just going to fly in here and just nuke the place.
Yeah, I was so kind of blown away that this whole thing was happening. I was like, oh, what's she doing there? And I didn't even make the Boba Fett connection until he started walking down the steps. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So,
yeah, for sure.
It's unbelievable that Disney had their 4-hour announce-a-thon for Disney Plus. Was that just last week? And that they kept the reveal secret that they're releasing the Book of Boba Fett December 2021, which I guess there's some debate online about whether that's the name of the first episode of Mandalorian Season 3 or a whole new show. It's got to be a whole new show, right?
I mean, I think if they're teasing it like that, it's a whole new show. For a second, I was like, is that what the third season of The Mandalorian is going to be? But I would bet more on it being its own show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be strange for them to change gears, but it's also strange that they're having both shows premiere in the same month, because for now, they've kind of let every show kind of breathe on its own. We don't have, Wanda and Vision's show until after this is all wrapped up. Like, I guess though, with all the shows that were announced, they're really going to have to kind of pile them on top of each other. They just have too much big stuff.
What are we going to do with all the Star Wars content? Yeah, they've announced so much. And it's interesting to see Jon Favreau, the showrunner for The Mandalorian, basically now doing to Star Wars TV what he did to Marvel movies, where they announced, was it Rangers of the New Republic, and then also the Ahsoka live action show. And they say all of that's going to culminate in a big event, probably dealing with Thrawn, I would imagine, that'll bring all the shows together. And I imagine Book of Boba Fett is also going to be in that world as well. So it's so bizarre to have now the Star Wars TV universe and have these big crossovers.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a great point that Favreau kicked this off, just like he kicked off Marvel with Iron Man. And I mean, this season was totally crazy. I love the first season already, but this kicked it up into another stratosphere. And so I am super, super excited about the Favreau-Filoni connection happening with all these shows.
Yeah. It
was crazy as episodes came out. It was just like, I guess this is my new favorite episode. What? Oh, no, this one's my new favorite. Like, it just kept raising the bar, which is crazy. It's hard to do on a TV show.
I know.
Yeah, and then now that it's all done, you settled on the Frog Lady episode, right?
Yeah.
All in on Frog, the series.
Why didn't we do a podcast on that exact episode?
Only the scenes where the Frog Lady is prominently displayed. So the amazing thing about this season is, I mean, the greatest magic trick of all is that we all got so distracted by Ahsoka and that storyline that around the middle of the season, you forget that, like, oh, that's right, Boba Fett's coming back at some point. But okay, just to really zoom in on this moment, we're unpacking this a lot, I know, but what's Boba going for? Why does Boba want that throne? Is it just he's kind of aimless and like, well, here is a place I guess I know kind of well, and I might as well take the power that's clearly just sitting there?
That's a great question. I haven't quite wrapped my head around it yet, but that's, I guess, maybe pretty much the site of his downfall. So maybe that's where he is symbolically going to rebuild his, I don't know, career or whatever.
Yeah, I guess he's got to go for the familiar. What did you think about Boba Fett throughout the season, Ross?
I was like, wow, Tamara Morrison became a much better actor over the last 20 years than he was in Attack of the Clones. But I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I kind of thought that he had been stuck on Tatooine in some way, but clearly he had access to his ship. So so that was a little confusing, but Tamara Morrison totally nailed it. I thought they did just the right amount of callbacks to previous Boba Fett stuff with, him dropping the seismic charge in that last episode.
Okay, stop. That was honestly one of the highlights of the season. Is like, oh, they're dropping the guitar bomb. Are you kidding me? That's incredible.
Yes. As soon as those TIE fighters are coming behind him, I'm like, he wouldn't do it, would he?
Filoni wouldn't make us happy, would he? Oh, okay, all right. He clearly knows the button to press for Star Wars nerds. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
It's weird though, yeah, because if he had his ship the whole time, like, why is he sticking around there? But previously to the events of Return of the Jedi, he was all over the galaxy hunting bounties.
Because he gets busy. He knows that his armor is somewhere on that planet. Is that the idea?
I guess.
Yeah. Now he's got the armor, so it's kind of strange.
On the Boba Fett fan service end of the spectrum here, seeing Slave One return made me so happy. That was always my favorite Star Wars ship growing up. And specifically seeing the inside of it and how it rotates as it's taking off. Like every shot where they're in the cockpit, there's only a couple where it's like, getting to see how this functions is the best freaking thing.
Yeah, like you're not paying attention to what anyone's saying or where they're going next. You're just like, oh, so it's okay.
And there's just a lot of that great mechanical fan service in The Mandalorian. Even in this last episode, just seeing like TIE fighters launching out. It's like, yeah, I'm interested in all of this nerdy crap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, is the Imperial shuttle going to fold up its wings in time to get in the thing? And they keep talking about how it's like we're playing with our Star Wars toys again and trying to figure it out. And that's the vibe I had in that first season with like the sand crawler chase with the Jawas that totally blew me away. And, these types of things where how's the ship going to fit in? It's exactly that sort of sort of deal.
I was obviously having Boba Fett is great. Having him back is great. I loved his kind of weathered armor. Like when apparently he just holed up in the ship for a while and painted it and restored it. I was like, I don't need that. Like it was cool when he was as raggedy as Slave One now looks. But I was always a little bit bummed about like, why is Boba Fett doing this? I know he says like, well, I'm in your debt because you gave me my armor back. But there's a lot of times here where I was just hoping like Boba Fett has to have a plan B, right? Like even in this final episode when he's like shooting at the shuttle, it's like, it's Boba Fett. Get one shot on the shuttle. You got to be a little bit of a stinker, right? Like, do you guys buy the full turn here?
It's tough because Boba Fett was kind of such a unknown in terms of character coming into this. This is almost the most character development or just showcase that Boba Fett has ever had, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a few episodes of the Clone Wars as that whiny kid, but other than that, it's just been, bounty hunter Boba Fett. He's in the comics as a reprehensible scumbag and stuff like that, but clearly fallen into the Sarlacc obviously changed him, and I assume that will be explored next year in his own show.
I do like
I imagine
that
it
idea.
has to be appealing to LucasArts that he's such a blank slate that they can kind of make him whatever they want.
Yeah, I like that justification though. Just like Dagobah made Yoda lose his freaking mind, I like that maybe the Sarlacc pit really made Boba had a change of heart, and he's like, I'm still going to be, out for me, but maybe I want to actually help some folks this time around, and maybe I need a buddy. Let's have Fennec just be my new right-hand man.
Yeah, she's going to be all over the place because I don't know if you guys watched the Bad Batch trailer, but she showed up in that briefly as well. So she's, and that's, 30 years before this show. So she's been around a long time, clearly.
Yeah. Grizzled.
Yeah, and Ming-Na Wen confirmed she's going to do the voice for that show as well. So
that's awesome.
That'd be cool.
Grizzled Gaming watching us live at the Backstage Pass tier, $10 tier on Patreon. He asked, does Boba Fett taking over Jabba's crime syndicate open the door for Darth Maul to appear? But no, because
I feel
he's
like
dead,
after
right?
this episode, like anything could happen. Like they're like anything that any fan has an idea of, like, well,
Yeah,
but
without getting too much into like definitive spoilers for other shows, even though this is max spoilers, go watch Star Wars Rebels. Boba Fett did have a pretty definitive end to his story in Star Wars Rebels.
Darth Maul, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, Darth Maul. And I'm pretty sure he would not appear later in the timeline than that. So
yeah, but they can still.
Who knows, really?
They can have so much tie-in. That. Who's the droid lady in the show? The Amy Sedaris is going to come in and be like, I need a favor, Crime Palace. There's going to be a lot of that Tatooine. Everything that's left on Tatooine, they will shove into that show, I'm sure.
For sure. And with all those announcements, I was a little surprised that there was not any like Emilia Clarke type of show following up on Solo that was announced.
Yeah.
Maybe she could play the Lando show a little bit, but, who knows? She could also show up as leading Crimson Dawn in this era.
Of
in the Boba Fett era too.
It's going to be a little expensive, but yeah, that seems like a lock for sure.
They seem to like spare no expense so far with a lot of this cast.
That is
as Rots will know this. The big bad villain from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was in the opening of the latest episode. Nathaniel Malik.
Yeah, that's right. He such a good slime ball, right? He was the dude that shot the other pilot.
Okay, yeah.
The 3-man crew.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about.
Like, where do I know that guy?
Yeah, he was the one talking about like, you blew up the Death Star. Millions of people died. It's basically the conversation from Clerks, except happening now within the Star Wars universe. But like, how many people who are innocent died on the Death Stars, you idiot?
Yeah.
All the contractors.
Trying the old guilt trip routine.
Yeah, tried her best.
As long as we're talking about moments from this last episode,
Sure.
I can't let it slide that Sasha Banks did a jetpack-assisted tornado DDT on Boba Fett.
It's so good.
I'm a big believer that whenever a wrestler appears in a TV show or a movie, they should do wrestling moves. Like The Rock should give the rock bottom in every movie to somebody. So it made me very, very happy.
Truly the only highlight worth mentioning, I think, from the last episode. Now let's go back in time. The Ahsoka stuff. What did you think about the Ahsoka reveal, Ross?
Totally blew me away. I mean, we all knew it was coming, that Rosario Dawson casting news spread pretty far and wide over the summer. But it really worked out really well. I thought she looked great. Her voice was, a little different than Ashley Eckstein, who we're all used to as being Ahsoka for all these years. But, she pulled off the action really well. She looked fantastic. I thought the role she played in the story was interesting. So it was really a huge thumbs up from me.
Yeah, though those white sabers looked incredible, and the way they used them in kind of the burnt out forest, I thought was super cool. And
oh yeah, I mean,
seemed so cool. Like to finally see, I know that we've maybe seen some other Jedi now, but see a Jedi in the Mandalorian. The fact that they were able to hold back for so long, keep a Jedi out of a Star Wars show was pretty impressive, and then debut it in such an impressive way.
Yeah. And Ahsoka was great in that episode, but I think the star of the show from that episode, the Jedi in the middle of the season, was in the burned out forest, those giant aliens that were like eating the trees. I want a spin-off show just about those freaky things. And like the huge AT-AT cranes lifting the ship out of the water. All big things in Star Wars I want more of an explanation of.
I thought you were going to say Michael Biehn was the star of that episode.
Oh, Michael Biehn. Yeah, he was great too. The Ahsoka, the look of her, I couldn't stop looking at her head tails. What do you call those? Hair heads?
Head tails sounds good.
Head tails, there we go. Like the way, like the little wrinkles in there, it made it look like marshmallows. I just want to touch it. I want to know like the consistency of those weird things.
Yeah, they clearly kind of shrunk them down a little bit for I don't know, ease of movement probably. When she was on Rebels, those things were like twice as huge. And that's probably obviously difficult to do action in. So
yeah,
I'm picturing Nerf football as far as the texture.
Exactly.
The feel.
That's just part of their race, is their head feels like a Nerf football.
Yeah, that was the least realistic part about Grogu this season, was that he did not just immediately grab those and start yanking on him or whatever.
Biting into them, just like everybody bit into their Nerf football, right?
Yeah. The thing with Grogu, which it's a ridiculous name for him to have, and
Correct.
I love that, is I really appreciated how Favreau and the other writers on the show like understand that toddlers are agents of chaos, and you make Grogu reflect that. Like when Mando has him in the ductwork of the ship.
Why did he put him in there? It seems like a terrible idea.
He's trying to get him to connect the wires and stuff. It's exactly like when I have my 2-year-old try to reach into the subwoofer to pull out all the stuff that he put in there when he was like 1 year old, and his arm is the only arm small enough to get in that hole.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, it was just as successful too.
Yeah, I was just so happy. Well, the name Grogu, you know what? Compared to Star Wars names, sure, it's fine. It seems like the internet's calmed down and they don't hate it anymore, or as much. But I was just happy that it wasn't a Y name. I was happy they got away from the Yoda, from the Yaddle. I thought it'd be so easy just to take the Star Wars routine. Like, well, I guess all these creatures start with Y. Let's keep that rolling.
Oh, how great would it have been, though, if Ahsoka had been, yes, he told me his name telepathically. It's Yaddle Jr.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I guess
Do you guys think they're going to change, like, on all the merchandise? Are they going to switch it up from the child and go over to Grogu, or they just keep it child forever?
That's a good question. Probably eventually they'll shift to Grogu, right? But I guess it is cleaner branding wise just to call it the child. Certain character later on called him the child. So maybe that's just kind of the stamp, because unless the Mandalorian's there to share it, or Ahsoka, then, who's really going to know?
Do you think that the child is going to be in season 3?
Yeah. They wouldn't have a whole season. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it seems like it's game on for everything with Mandalorian now. So I don't think they have the restraint to be like, okay, it's the Mandalorian, but there's no child this time. Or maybe Thrawn will kidnap the child or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, because like season 2 was I'm sure, written before season 1 aired and before the child became like an international phenomenon. So I was like, are they just thinking that they, would write him out at the end of the season and that's the end of it? But I'm kind of leaning your way too. He'll be back at some point, even if Luke Skywalker is not.
I'm sorry, who?
Yeah. When that X-Wing flew in, you guys knew it, right? It had to be him.
Yeah. I knew it, and I hate that I knew it, and it didn't land as hard as it could have with me, and I'm so freaking mad about this. But of course, I opened up the MinnMax Twitter account, which is just following like news stories for video game websites, and mother effing IGN has a tweet that, not fully spoiling it, but it just says, the season 2 finale of Mandalorian has the biggest cameo yet. And when you say that, and immediately then, as I'm booting up the show, I'm like, okay, we know a Jedi's probably coming because, Grogu was chanting on the rock, like, who's it going to be? And so I was leaning towards Luke anyway. So then I saw the X-Men, I was like, okay. So I was too busy screaming the dirty name of IGN, whoever runs that godforsaken Twitter account. Also, GameSpot, they have been tweeting out right when the episodes go live, frickin' spoilers, and then they've even like deleted some because they realize they're spoilers and then make a new one. Just stop it. Just say, hey, we talk about this episode of The Mandalorian in this article. You don't need to say more than that. You're engaging click-through rates by 15% more by ruining the experience for millions of followers. It's insane! I hate it. Brian, you need to run these media accounts.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about it. And then I saw the picture of, I was like, what's he so mad about? And I scrolled up and I saw the picture of Baby Yoda in their IGN tweet. And I was like, I'm not going to read the words.
Oh my God. Good call.
I was able to dodge it. But you actually may have led me to be spoiled by IGN.
I know.
It's something to watch out for.
I know. I don't know what to do in this situation. It's probably better just to like reach out to the editors at IGN that I know a little bit and just say, whoever is sending these frickin' tweets, you think you're not spoiling things and you are. You're coloring everybody's expectations for that episode in a way that really sucks.
What's interesting though is based on my misinterpretation of your tweet, I was like, oh my God, does Baby Yoda actually like get cut in half by this Darksaber when Moff Gideon has him in the prison room? I'm like, I was extra worried.
Oh no! Oh God, yeah, you can't win. Okay, anyways, yeah, walk me through a pure experience, Ross. You saw that X-Wing come in.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I was hoping Luke Skywalker. I was like, this show has been doing nothing but crazy things all season. So who would Grogu talk to on the Jedi long distance call stone? Luke is the most obvious answer, right? There's some other characters that have been in animated shows or whatever that could be Jedi still around at that time. But I mean, it's Luke, right? So I was thinking about that going in and I was like, oh, I bet. And then, you gave us the heads up, make sure you watch till the end of the credits. And I was like, ooh, I bet that's the Luke cameos right at the end of the credits. But it, like this show likes to do, they were like, why have a Luke cameo when you could have Luke tear through a bunch of robots like they're nothing, which is why, by the way, you bring an army of robots into a show with Luke Skywalker so that you can have him show off with the lightsaber, right?
Right, guilt-free.
Yeah, so the X-Wing comes in. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's got to be Luke. This is insane. Hooded figure comes out. You're like, oh, maybe could it not be Luke? Could it be him? But, as he's going through the cargo hold or whatever, all the previous areas that the Mando team had gone through, you can see, you get the green lightsaber reveal once it's off the security cam. And then you can kind of see the hilt and you're like, that's definitely Luke's lightsaber. Can't believe it. And
the black glove.
Yep, the black glove. And so did you guys get some cool like Rogue One vibes? Like it was a Luke version of that Darth Vader hallway scene?
Yeah, on Reddit, the top comment on the discussion thread was, I absolutely kick ass in a hallway like my father before me.
Yes. Totally true.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then, so he shows up. The effects pretty good on his face.
Really? What are you watching on a CRT monitor? What's going on over there?
I was watching on the Mandalorian style security cam. So they don't have HD in that universe.
I was so furious. Like when he had that hood. By the way, the idea of him fighting with the hood like so low is very funny. But real quick aside before we get to that too, like I was shocked that they didn't tease who it was musically. It's like, are they going to do Force theme? There's got to be some hint, and they kept it until the reveal, which is impressive. Also, quick note.
That was good restraint.
The Dark Trooper theme was so...
The dubstep?
Yeah, it sounded like from the soundtrack to Toys. It was freaking cool, but it was insane. Anyways, so as he has that hood, I had my fingers crossed, like, please be Sebastian Stan, which I know the internet's been screaming about. Like, he looks so much like Luke, just make him like that. I was just praying, please don't do some dumb CG Rogue One crap. And he took off that hood, and I shut off the episode. I was so enraged.
I don't know what happened next.
It's pretty... I still thought it was pretty janky, and his voice was like a little bit distorted and weird. And the part that kills me is, along with I think that CG presentation, it just like robs Luke, the human core of Star Wars, of all humanity, and he just feels like a robot. Like he just feels so stiff and just hand me the child. I'll take care of the child. It sucks to remove so much warmth and humanity from a character we love from that presentation style.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was happy to see that Mark Hamill is actually used for the voice.
Yeah, maybe some face model, then they just redid it completely, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm guessing they put like a green sock on the body double's body, and just had him talk. But
yeah,
I guess I was hoping for Sebastian Stan as like a real thing, but like, as far as recreating somebody, I mean, that's probably as good as it's going to get in 2020, right? I mean, they got his like kind of his one nostril that's a little bigger than the other, and like a little scar. Like when I stare at his face, I watch it a couple times, and I'm like, I mean, they got all the little details that I forgot that I even recognized from Mark Hamill's face from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, you're saying they got that Wampa scar accurate? That was
that's right.
They nailed that one.
Yeah. When he hit the Wampa with his car, I forget exactly what the story is, something like that. But yeah,
I think the biggest shock for me was that they had talked about like never doing that stuff again. Like after,
oh really?
Leia, they're like, yeah, we're not going to mess with that, or at least J.J. Abrams, I think, did for Episode 9.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right on that, Ross.
Yeah, I think that was maybe more in the context of we're not going to recreate Leia whole cloth for Episode 9 without Carrie Fisher, which led them to the suspect decision of using that previously shot footage and just writing around it.
Yeah,
I felt that was way weirder than what they did with Luke, the Episode 9 stuff.
Yeah, maybe I was just so I've only seen this one time, so maybe I was just so like still in the moment of I can't believe Luke Skywalker's in this show that I just forgave all the jankiness. But it worked for me in the moment. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's still incredibly powerful. But who looked pretty good though? R2 looks like it hasn't aged a day. It's really incredible work. That got me excited too. Seeing R2 roll, I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's so sweet.
Yeah, R2's so good with children.
Yeah, strangely, even droid children, just everybody's cool with him. Yeah, and then there's
the nice bonus of having Baby Yoda be so short is they can constantly use that shot of just Luke's legs and R2, like the low shot, keep his face out of it.
Through the entire training montage, it's just his face is not included in it.
Or does Luke ride on Baby Yoda's shoulders this time in the training sequence?
He's just desperate to recreate that. Settle up,
nope, this is how you train a Jedi. I know this.
The only way it works. So how did you guys feel about Mando's character growth through this season with him with a big moment of taking his helmet off to show Baby Yoda's face right at the end?
Yeah, I thought it worked well in this scene. In the previous episode, it was a little bit cartoony, where he has to get his face scanned and that Southern Emperor generals like, what's going on over there, boy? All that nonsense.
Yeah, it was funny that machine required just any face. You just got to have a face. It doesn't have to be an Imperial face. You don't need any credentials, but you just got to have a face.
Yeah. But I thought it was nice. It's basically for the big Harry and the Hendersons moment here with the child then, where it's like, go on, go to Luke, please. Yeah, but
it was cool to see. I mean, it feels like you have to kind of do that just to like show how he's affected by the child being taken away. Like if it was just his mask and he's just staring, it's just like, well, I guess I have to like shake my shoulders because I'm crying, you know, like having real face is a lot better, right?
Yeah. I like that they, earlier on in the season too, when they're eating soup, I like that scene where it's like, yeah, I was wondering how he ate, but he kind of like lifts it up a little bit and slurps that weird octopus soup.
Yeah, like he can take it off if nobody's around, but like, you know, so if he's by himself, he can eat that soup with no problems and then trim his mustache as he likes to do, clearly.
Yeah, exactly.
No but yeah, it was interesting in that episode that brought Bo-Katan into the show. That's Katie Sackhoff's character. When he's mad at her for taking off her helmet and she's like, oh, you're one of them. You're like that hardcore, religious, essentially sect of the Mandalorians. And she's like, oh, that's so ridiculous. And then she's a total hypocrite because in this episode, she's like, no, you can't just give that thing to me. I have to take it. That's the only way it works.
Yeah, and I like the Mandalorian just being like, just freaking take it. We went through all this. Just grab it, please.
Yes.
Yeah. But I thought that was like some of the best writing of this season. I love that line from Gideon where he's like, yeah, the dark saber doesn't mean anything. It's the story that means everything. Like, you can't just undercut that, which I think that's my biggest critique of this season and of the show. I had a lot of fun watching it. I loved it. There's a certain kind of blah flatness to the writing. It just feels like it's all pretty quick. Like it's exemplified, I think, in this episode in particular where Gideon just says, you had a tough time fighting one of those dark troopers. Now imagine taking on a bunch of them. It's just like saying what's happening throughout the entire season. I feel like there's very few exchanges that are clever or interesting or fun back and forth. It's just a lot of perfunctory dialogue and then characters looking cool. Especially, it's definitely the George Lucas style of dialogue where it's almost completely functional. Yeah.
You just get from point A to point B, which is why something like that conversation with Bill Burr and the Night King Imperial guy, why that stood out so much, because it was like, it was a couple degrees more complex, and you could see that things were happening, behind the scenes. People weren't just literally saying what they're feeling. Yeah, and it kind of ties into, I think, earlier in that episode too, it kind of goes into some of the Last Jedi stuff, with DJ, is that his name? Yeah. Kind of talking about like, well, this morality thing in the Star Wars universe is nonsense. Where in that episode, Bill Burr, Mayfield, is that his name? Mayfield? Yeah, that's right. When he's talking about like, just you have these codes because you were born on Alderaan. If someone's born on another planet, they have another code. Like, what does it really matter? Which is fun to bring back some ambiguity to Star Wars here. Yeah. Although like he said that and then he like realized that he had, had his line of morality too that he wouldn't cross. Yeah, yeah. The Reddit too, by the way. I just cruised the Reddit comments, so I'm sorry for not citing these exactly, but they brought up the good point that imagine if Boba Fett was on the ship when Luke arrived. Like, we just immediately started attacking him. Like, what would have happened?
Oh, that makes sense now. They had to kind of pull him out.
Yeah, that's the weird Boba thing. Like, I love the one nod to like, well, let's just have Boba go into that enemy base in a couple episodes back, or I guess last episode, and he's like, they might recognize me. Like, I love that just idea that he's still this legend, and I hope that is explored more in the Boba Fett show, just what he thinks about the Empire now, if he ever reflects back on like, you know what, Vader was a real prick, or just something. I just want some commentary. Yeah. Like, even
on that same note, I really loved it when the other Mandalorians were like, "Hey, I know that voice. Like, you're not a Mandalorian. You're just a clone."
Yes, yeah, I've heard it.
And that's what I thought that they might recognize that my face line was about. I thought he was like, "Oh yeah, they everybody would recognize a clone face."
Right. But tying into
the
this
most common face in the galaxy.
Yeah, I thought that was fun too. But tying into the Boba Fett morality thing, like Cara Dune is outraged at Bill Burr because he was an Imperial in the past in that episode. Meanwhile, like 2 feet away from Bill Burr, Boba Fett is standing there. Like, if you want to be mad at the Empire, like, it's just insane that no one's holding Boba Fett accountable for what he did. But I guess she has no idea.
Yeah, or like bounty hunting is like considered like an actual profession in Star Wars where they have a guild and they're doing jobs. So she's like,
that's
well,
interesting.
He's doing all that stuff within the framework of his job. So
yeah, that could be. That's true. I'm wondering, what's their ship going to be? They don't have Slave One anymore. Are they going to take an Imperial shuttle around the galaxy now, or what are they flying?
That's a great question. Maybe they team up with like Dash Rendar and use his ship from Shadows of the Empire. As long as we're taking stuff from video games, right? With the Dark Troopers.
I mean, honestly, I would not put it past the show at this point to have a little Rendar in there.
Literally anything could happen.
That's exciting.
That's true. Do you guys think? Do you think he's like? I guess I'll crash with you Mandalorians for a while. With Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks.
Well, you got to think about, who goes to what show, and they don't really have a good home. And there was kind of even a line in this episode too, where she said like, "Hey, my mission is to reclaim Mandalore now." And so the fact that he is inherently the ruler of Mandalore right now, it seems like that would be a good storyline for season 3. Is just the Mandalore episode or season.
Yeah, I was wondering. Exactly. I was wondering if she was going to be more of a villainous figure in the 3rd season, attempting to, defeat him to reclaim the Darksaber. That's interesting too, because the way she came into possession of the Darksaber is that it was given to her by Sabine. Obviously, that didn't turn out very well, so that could explain why she feels differently now. So, I've been trying to think about where season 3 is going to go. So Bo-Katan is a possible antagonist. I also have been wondering if Din's like relaxation of his cultural rules is going to put him into conflict with the armorer who sent him out on the quest. And those, his people, the children of the Watch or whatever they were called.
Yeah. All I know for sure.
He did accomplish the quest that she sent him out on. So you feel like he has to kind of do a return visit and say, mission accomplished.
Give me another upgrade, please. Yeah. I'll take another cool
and then she's like,
armor.
Did you ever take off your helmet while you were doing that? And he's like, just a few times.
She has to ask him that every time they meet. How about any helmet stuff?
No, I'm cool. I swear. Yeah, all I know for sure in season 3 is they will be backed into a corner fighting something at some point, and then probably towards the back half of season 3, they will have the child return and just kick ass. They're gonna have that hero moment of like, he's been training the whole time. Look how amazing! He's got a
tiny little lightsaber. It's gonna be so cute.
It's gonna be absurd.
Oh my god! How excited were you guys? And was it episode 2 where Yoda did the first lightsaber stuff?
I was kind of into it, but I'm younger than you guys, so it's an excuse for me.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. Like Brian and I went to that movie on like opening day, basically, and I think we had some like inkling that might happen. So we were like, "Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen?" And then it did, and the theater was like going crazy and stuff. And I remember riding high after that movie. I'm like, definitely one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
I remember talking to a friend after seeing Attack of the Clones, and my friend, I would have been in 9th grade, I think. And my friend said like, yeah, it's so crazy. Like for a Star Wars movie, like it actually had a really good story. Like saying like, wow, unlike the other films, this one's story really rocks. I think that just meant it was more complicated, I guess, which sure, maybe. Okay. Ahsoka show. A lot of people online saying that her episode is secretly the backdoor pilot for the Ahsoka series. Hey, I think Star Wars' only backdoor pilot is Dak. Up top.
Very nice.
Thank you. Wrote that joke down months ago.
I feel like you could take on this podcast yourself.
Thank you. But so her show is going to be trying to track down Thrawn. And then also, why am I forgetting the name of Rebels hero?
Ezra.
She mentions Ezra in the episode, right?
She did. I don't think she did.
Okay.
After that episode came out, Dave Filoni kind of implied that it took place before the epilogue to Rebels, which is kind of where she shows up and gets Sabine, one of the other Rebels main characters, and they head off in search of Ezra. So I don't know if the series then is still going to be taking place before that, but it'll be interesting. Clearly, it's like meant to kind of intersect with Mandalorian and Rangers. Is what it sounds like. So I'm totally on board, but I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with it.
It's going to be.
It's strange to see where they're going, because I feel like, are they gonna just keep putting that storyline off, the Ezra search? Because like, it's weird for someone who's just watched the live action stuff to be like, who is this Ezra guy? What?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we know? I don't know him. I don't know Sabine. Like, I guess you can kind of build that up in a new series, but it's like the central quest, but for someone that a lot of people have never heard of or know anything about, even though there's a lot of people that do. But
yeah,
it's kind of strange.
It's an issue, I think, with the whole season, and some fans love it. I've seen so much excitement about the season. It's clearly working. They know what they're doing, but it is kind of a bummer to me to think about how much this season is kind of shrinking that Star Wars universe again. It was so fun in season 1 to be like, oh, new characters. Who is this? A new corner of the galaxy. And then it's like, nope, there are no new corners of the galaxy. Everything intertwines directly with stuff you've already seen. And we're going to build hype by having these connections here. It reminds me of like the excitement about Rogue One, about like, oh, there's no Jedi in it. And, it seems like Mandalorian had a little bit of that enthusiasm as well, and now it's just right out the window because it's like, just show us more Luke, are you kidding me? Which I get, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not expecting Luke to do much more, if anything, in this show, but I'm kind of on the side where I like seeing everything connected. I like that there's the idea of all these different stories happening, and Mando is just like popping in here and there and meeting people every now and then. So whether they're new characters, which is great, or established characters, which of course makes me freak out to see them in live action. Yeah. I've been good with all of it.
He's kind of become the Forrest Gump, I guess, of the Star Wars
universe, right? Exactly. Which, the ultimate shrinking universe tale, Forrest Gump. Yeah. Before we go, we got to get your thoughts, Ross, on Bib Fortuna using the word McClunky in there.
Oh, I did not even see that.
You threw it in there.
As soon as we turn this off, I'm going back and looking for McClunky.
Also, in the Lego Star Wars holiday special, I don't know if you watched that, but they have Greedo say McClunky in that holiday special as well. Yeah,
that very welcome. McClunky is the new Banthapoodo, I guess. I don't know. So talking about season 3, do you guys have any hopes in terms of like the directors they're bringing in? Because Robert Rodriguez was amazing. Peyton Reed then did this amazing finale after the super weird Frog Lady episode. Anybody you would want to see direct an episode in the next season?
Paul Thomas Anderson or Paul W.S. Anderson. I'll take either of them. I'm a big PA guy in general. Ooh, Wes Anderson. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All the Andersons.
Anderson from The Matrix. I was
going to say Taika Waititi, but I was like, oh, yeah, he already did one.
Yeah. It's his frickin' white guy in his 30s 101, and I apologize for what I'm about to say, but it'd be fun to see Spielberg direct something Star Wars, wouldn't it? Just one episode, he could handle that.
Absolutely. Totally in favor. I thought you were going to say Kevin Smith after that lead up.
Oh, dear God, no. He should go nowhere near this. I listen to all of his podcasts, but that would be a frickin' nightmare. I've seen his films, Ross.
Yes.
All of them.
I'd like to see Justin Lin come in. Maybe they have him do a pod racing episode.
Oh my God.
I cannot believe there has not been pod racing episodes of like the animated shows or anything.
Dude, I mean, absolutely that's going to be within the first 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett. They'll be like, well, the only way to accomplish this task is Boba, get in that pod.
Boba, can you believe it? The Boonty Eve Classic is already here. And then my ultimate director dream, just bring in George Lucas. Have him direct an episode. Tell him he can do whatever he wants. Make it as weird as he wants.
Ooh, make it one of your art films. Yeah. He was into the tech, which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed that. It's my favorite little production detail. But in the gallery, which is like the making of The Mandalorian Season 1, which was great. I hope they have another one for Season 2. But in that, they had a whole episode all about the tech. And in that discussion, it was so great because Jon Favreau was like, yeah, this tech is awesome. And the best thing about it, it's not proprietary. Anybody can have this. It's just screens and Unreal Engine. Have at it, everybody. And then in the Disney investor call with Kathleen Kennedy, she's like, this is Disney-owned technology, and it's the future of filmmaking. Don't come near it unless you license it.
Hands off, everybody.
Yeah. But with George Lucas, I was really thinking about this. What are the odds that George Lucas, number one, has a Disney Plus subscription, and number two, has seen all the episodes of Mandalorian?
Very low on both of them, but he is like Dave Filoni's Jedi Master. So like he showed up when he was on, that famous behind the scenes photo of him rocking Grogu.
Yeah.
That was during the production of the Ahsoka episode of this season. So clearly Filoni was like, hey, George, you got to come see Ahsoka in live action because like Clone Wars was George Lucas's baby and all that. Mm-hmm. And, so maybe that scratched the itch. Maybe they're like, hey, why don't you just direct one of these someday?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I bet he has zero interest.
I would have said absolutely he'd never seen anything, but after seeing him visit, like, would he be at least a little curious to see what's going on?
Yeah, you think he'd want to?
Yeah, it probably depends on like if his kids are still living with him at all, because they were always, you always heard stories about George Lucas was playing the Star Wars video games because like his kids were super into them and all of that stuff. So
yeah, maybe they're quarantined together.
Yeah.
And then his kids are just constantly bugging him like, you gotta go do that show because it's one of the safest shows to film now. You just need a couple people in the volume.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
My director pick. What if they did the unthinkable and got Lord and Miller back for an episode?
Ooh.
Famous blow up on the Solo movie.
That would be...
Just keep Larry Kasdan far away from them and maybe they'll agree to it.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Get all the Disney fired directors back. Let's...
Josh Trank episode?
Trank episode.
Bring it back for the Boba Fett show after his Boba Fett movie got canned?
Yes, exactly. Why am I blanking on his name? The Ant-Man, Edgar Wright, get him back in there. He can direct an episode. It's just, come one, come all.
Bring everybody in. We got enough shows now. Just they need directors desperately. So
yeah, real quick before we close, the Acolyte show, one of the 6,000 shows they announced. Rumors rumbling that this is going to be Darth Plagueis. It seems
the timeline works out. I think as they said, it's at the end of the High Republic era, which is like 100 years before Episode 4, which means that, I think Plagueis is alive. You could even have young Sidious, depending on how old he's supposed to be.
Ooh, weird. So, here's the catch, is it's the showrunner of Russian Doll heading this. And so it's, too obvious to make a 1-1 connection. But with how much they're trying to kind of open up Star Wars to a new audience, do you think that the Acolyte will star a female Sith? And would they ever show Darth Plagueis was actually a woman?
Could happen. I don't remember. I think he was like the he pronoun was used in that.
That's true.
That tale,
I went back and watched it, and it is, yeah. But I'm trying to think if it's the Acolyte. Maybe it's just training and working with, and then Darth Plagueis is like the buddy of the main character or something.
Yeah, I'm sure there are ways around this, and I agree. I think it's going to be a women-led show.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, I do think it'll involve Plagueis in some way.
It has to. That's going to be really exciting to see. A lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for continuing this grand Mandalorian journey with us. I guess we'll just keep doing spoilers about the entire show forever, and then we'll have to crank out a Max spoilers every week with all the Star Wars stuff coming up next year. Brian Vore, is there anything you wanted to plug, man?
No, I'm good. Just hope everyone's staying safe over these holidays, having a good time.
That's perfect. Ross, anything you want to plug?
I'd like to plug Life Day. Everybody have a great Life Day.
Please celebrate Life Day, everybody. All right, until next time, happy Life Day, everybody. Bye. MinnMax is a Patreon about games, friends, and getting better. The Deepest Dive is the best, most thorough discussions about games on the internet. Prove us wrong, please. The MinnMax Show podcast airs every Thursday. Patreon supporters vote on what we stream every single week, and a whole lot more. Give us a shot, try subscribing to the YouTube channel, and we hope we can win you over.